This episode of The Patch is brought to you by Insert Coin Clothing, the home of epic gaming apparel and accessories. Get up to 70% off during the January sale on loads of awesome designs like Splinter Cell, Remember Me, and much more. Save 15% on your purchase when you use offer code New Year's Rooster. That's New Year's Rooster at InsertCoinClothing.com. Stop schlepping to the drugstore and paying $20 for shave tech you don't need. For a couple bucks a month, DollarShaveClub.com delivers amazing quality razors right to your door. Shave time, shave money with Dollar Shave Club. Go to DollarShaveClub.com/Rooster. That's DollarShaveClub.com/Rooster. Hey everyone, welcome to The Patch.
Hey.
I'm back.
You are.
Gus, Ashley, Ryan, Gus.
It hasn't been the same without you, Gus.
I was sitting over there the whole time.
It's true. He wasn't
in the dark.
Oh no, we know that, but it still wasn't the same.
Yeah, so it was good to get a little refresher, but now I'm back to rule.
You recharge your batteries, ready for a podcast?
Yes, ready for a whole hour of The Patch.
to rule the hourglass.
Yes. Hey. So, a lot of great news. CES going on this week.
Yeah.
I feel like CES isn't typically a show you get a lot of video game news out of.
Well, it's a good hardware show, and where video games and hardware crossover, then it is.
Right.
Otherwise, not so much.
Sort of, but at the same time, it's also not where you would expect a major console announcement or anything like that because it's too tech-focused and not gaming enough focused.
Wasn't the original Xbox first officially announced at a CES, I think?
You know, I'm actually not sure. It very well could have been. It just seems like the gaming industry has been moving more into its own thing and a little bit further away from the tech sector. Mm-hmm. Like, I know that Ubisoft used to have a booth there every year. I don't even know if they do that anymore. You know, a lot of games companies have moved away from that. I think they're doing more PAX stuff and consumer-oriented stuff now.
Yeah, I mean, the original Xbox, I could see how maybe that would have been sort of their niche market for introducing it, though. That's a technology show, and that was a new technology, which is kind of the direction they were sort of launching that. So
I'm trying to look it up frantically here, looking so
typing.
fast. It was announced in...
if only we had someone sitting over there fact-checking for us.
It was announced in March, so that doesn't seem like that would be CES.
No, that would be maybe a GDC.
It was at the Game Developers Conference, yep. It was at GDC in 2000 is where it was first announced.
There you go. Little known fact about a console from 10 years ago?
13?
13?
Yeah, 13 years
ago.
There you go. Wow. How time flies.
Actually, not a little known fact either. I'm sure lots of people know that fact.
So,
and now more people know.
Something that was announced was about 1 billion Steam machines.
1 billion
oh my God,
13.
so many.
Everyone is making a Steam machine.
Yeah.
And they range in price from $500 to
$6,000.
Yeah, $1 billion maybe. I don't know.
From competitive with consoles to why would you even bother?
To expensive for a computer. Oh, I guess there's a mock-up of the Alienware one.
If you're
that one's weird too.
That one is a little bit weird.
No, just in the like they said we're making one. By the way, we're not telling you the specs.
Yeah, they probably are still trying to figure out a good price point. I mean, it seems like
it looks cool.
It's like a
That's
shotgun.
a cool looking case.
It is very cool.
It is. I mean, it's like a shotgun approach of specs for this and prices. I mean, they're all over the map.
Yeah, that's the price points that I see do not keep it in line with what I was expecting that they would be going for.
Yeah, me either.
Were you thinking much more the like $500 console price range?
Right. Like if you're going to compete with a console, like otherwise, like if you're going to pay $1,500 or $6,000. Why not just buy a computer? Yeah,
why
not just put a home theater PC?
But come on, that's what they are.
Yeah,
that is exactly what they are.
Yeah,
they're full-on supercomputers that just happen to be running specific.
Not
even super. Yeah.
Well, no, the ones that are going to be running dual Titans are pretty super.
But it's like, I mean, but you don't get the flexibility of even being able to run like a home theater PC on it. It's
actually, a lot of them are dual booting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which actually, dual booting on a lot of these Steam machines to me is bad news for Steam OS.
Yeah, and I don't want to dual boot. I don't want to deal with this shit, dude. I turn my console on. I don't choose an operating system. It turns on and it does everything I want.
You could set a
but
default.
You could.
Yeah. It would be a default to Steam OS if you wanted it to.
Right, but
no, I mean, but to be fair, I'm really not disagreeing with you. I think this is a really weird place to be. Of course, I mean, Valve is in a great spot here because it's not their hardware, really. I mean, they came up with the OS and the concept and the controller. But everything else is, you guys do whatever you want.
Yeah, really, what risk are they exposed to?
Yeah.
Nothing. Really.
It is interesting that they're running this entire project, and the only income they're really going to be making is on incremental game sales.
Well, yeah, they get...
I mean,
hats.
also the controller. Yes, more hats.
Yeah, and I mean, they get, I think they get a back-end slice of anything that's sold through Steam. So the more they expand the Steam market, the more they're going to get money that way. But
do you think they also maybe license the name Steam Machine or Steam Box or whatever? It's like a manufacturer who makes it or adheres to those standards and markets it like that. Maybe it's like an old thing where it's like manufacturers have to pay a licensing fee for Steam OS. And,
I don't think they do because Steam OS is free, right?
I doubt that's the case.
They're licensing the logo, though, to all the hardware manufacturers because a lot of them have it imprinted on the actual box.
Yeah, and some of those do look pretty cool.
They
actually.
do, and some of them look
like the embossed
horribly
ones.
ugly.
Yeah, so it's
I'm pulling up the 13 here.
Is there some significance to the 13 number?
There's Alienware, there's Alternate, there's Falcon Northwest.
There are companies I've never heard of.
Web Holland, which is a Swedish manufacturer apparently.
I buy Powers in there.
Next Spa.
That
sounds like a place I'd go to exfoliate, not like a fucking gaming system.
It's funny you mentioned that. It actually can be used for exfoliation.
It's made out of pumice, the finest quality.
So, unlisted stat there, pumiceability.
Yeah, it is interesting that there are so many different ones that they've announced. And this is apparently just the first generation, so we have no idea like what's going to come after this. Mm-hmm. But it does run a pretty like there's no centralized theme around any of them.
SteamOS.
Well, aside from SteamOS, I would actually be very interested in seeing if. I mean, do we know if Windows is going to support the SteamOS? Like if, not SteamOS. Sorry, the Steam controller.
I would imagine that you'd see driver support for it.
Yeah, I would think so.
So if it is, then what's the point?
Yeah, then you could just run Steam in like big picture mode.
Exactly.
On a Windows machine.
Well, that's what that's designed to be.
Right.
That's what I've been saying the whole time. I don't get it.
I know. I was opposing you until I started seeing them, and now I'm starting to wonder. But again, it's like maybe once we see more of it in the wild, once we actually see it working in the ecosystem, maybe it'll make more sense. And
that's a funny thing too, is that I feel like since they've announced these specific ones and everyone's now realizing that they really are just PCs, the sentiment's actually turning a little bit. When they were first announced, it was very much, all hell Gaben. This is going to be the most amazing revolutionary thing of all time. I know you're a skeptic. You're going, yes.
I'm agreeing, yes.
But now that people are actually like seeing that that's the way it's going to go, they go, oh, well, maybe this isn't going to be like, maybe this isn't going to change the world the way we thought it would.
It's turning out to be probably a lot more smoke and mirrors than what people thought it was going to be. I mean, the big announcement from Valve really is the controller and SteamOS, and then the hardware platform is something that's really, again, it goes back to that. It's nothing to do with Valve at that point anymore. They've got kind of a generic form factor, but even the form factor, at least I kind of thought it was going to be a more specific form factor, so you'd kind of know what the thing would look like. But from what we've seen, they're all over the map. So
yeah, which is funny because Valve was actually pretty open about it from the beginning. They did say it'll be a wide range of configurations. You can update these. You can take them out. You can replace hardware components. They were saying it's just like a PC. But until these announcements, I don't think people quite got that. They were still thinking that it would be something more cohesive,
more console-like.
More console-like, yes.
More closed. That's basically the difference we're looking at here now is, price point and that it's an open architecture instead of a closed one.
Yeah. We'll see. It'll be an interesting year as these things start to roll out. Do you know when the first one's coming out? I think I read that one of them was coming out like by the end of this month. And that the Alienware one was going to be like late this year.
Yeah, the ones that I've heard about have all been talking about the back half of the year, but they can't really release until SteamOS is finalized, right? And that's only recently gone into beta.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'd be really surprised.
Well, Steam likes selling you games that are in beta, so why wouldn't you get an OS that's in beta? We'll see. So one of the other big announcements I thought that came out of CES was NVIDIA talking about the new Tegra K1. GPU for mobile devices, it's a mobile, basically GPU with 192 CUDA cores.
Which 192, when I first saw that, it took me a minute to remember that Tegra is mobile because 192 is like whatever. I mean, the 700 series is somewhere in the 1500 CUDA cores.
Also, if I may, I'm pretty sure CUDA cores isn't even a word. That literally sounds like a word that someone just made up.
It's got lots of gnomes in there. Good gnomes.
It sounds like something you would encounter if you're playing Space Team. When you're like, flip the CUDA cores. What? It doesn't make any sense.
That's really funny.
That's actually where the name came from. Somebody was playing there. Oh, my CUDA cores are flipped. I don't know why I did this. This is bad hand motion for that.
That's
what you do with your
I
keyboard.
think you're very fortunate the camera wasn't on you at the time, or there'd be lots of GIFs.
Yeah, that's fine.
You can do it again for the camera if you want.
I saw it. It was there. Yeah, flip those CUDA cores.
CUDA core. There you go.
And it also supports DirectX 11.
Yeah,
which is pretty fucking intense for a mobile GPU.
And they had some demos running, but I'm not sure that any demo I saw where they're actually running it on mobile hardware was a little choppy. And then they'd go to a without a frame, and all of a sudden be running pretty smooth on a demo. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, but I also assume that like the hardware technology will probably catch up before, like it will catch up to this technology. And then outpace it, and it's just that gradual stepping.
It's like
so they have to catch
back and forth.
They just have to catch up to each other, and then a new one will come out, and they're never quite in sync for more than 5 minutes.
I mean, kind of on the back of this is also the news with PlayStation Now. So, at some point, is there any benefit to developing the mobile platform's hardware in that direction if you can just stream games directly to them?
That's a good question.
I mean,
so I guess we should explain what PlayStation Now is for
true.
people who don't know. So PlayStation Now is the service that Sony had talked about during the PS4 unveiling last year, which is an on-demand streaming Gaikai-based service. So it's like on a PS4 or PS3, you could stream the back catalog of PlayStation games and play them without actually physically having the disc or the hardware to run that software in your machine.
Right. So it's basically their version of their version of backwards compatibility. Since neither PS4 or Xbox One are backwards compatible, this is their solution is don't worry, you never have to run it. You just stream it and one of our machines will run it.
And I believe what they said was they were looking at different models for pricing. And one of them was you might be able to rent a game for a fee, or you could just have a subscription to the PlayStation Now service and then just get unlimited access to the catalog.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. Although I imagine they'll probably experiment a bit more with that in the closed beta they're doing this month.
So
I'm kind of surprised at that stuff. And to start with, I'm actually really excited about that because I never had a PS3. There's a lot of PS3 titles I really want to play. So I'm really looking forward to being able to get access to that. I'm kind of surprised that wasn't more of a priority closer to launch just because of the dead zone of titles we've got right now.
It would have helped for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's more people like me too, especially with the number of people moving back and forth between, moving over to PlayStation from Microsoft's console. Well, I don't know why I called it that instead of Xbox. But with the people moving over, probably in the same position I am, where they would want to play that back catalog, you'd think they would have had that more up front. But hey, it's coming at least.
I'm sure they have priorities on getting the console out the door. Plus, if you think about it, I mean, their home turf is Japan. That console still hasn't even come out there.
And won't until the end of February.
Right. It isn't for, almost another 2 months or a month and a half.
Crazy.
So they can pad it. It's not quite so bad.
Not that it's hurting their business, right? 4.2 million sold so far. But.
It's crazy. It's really impressive. They would still also consider this launch window, though. Isn't the first 6 months is launch window? So anything that comes in that is
until you can actually walk into the store and see like a number of units for sale in stock, then it's still launch window. When they're sold as soon as they get off the shelf, launch window.
Right. But that, can also be down to demand. Like Xbox One, I would still consider in its launch window. Reportedly, I don't go to stores very much, but reportedly, there are a lot more Xbox Ones on shelves than there are PS4s.
I have yet to see either.
At the local Fry's, there actually were Xbox Ones over the holidays, but I did not see a PS4 or PS3 anywhere.
Interesting. So when Xbox or Microsoft announced that they'd sold 3 million Xbox Ones and Sony announced that they sold 4.2 million PS4s, in my head I thought that it was supply constraint because since I hadn't seen one in a store yet, I figured, that's all they can make, so that's all they're selling. But if you're seeing them in stores, that's a different story.
There are some interesting things with that though. In that PS4 is available in I want to say at least 48 countries. Whereas the Xbox One is still available in 13.
Okay.
So where Microsoft is focusing all those units on just these regions, whereas PS4 is definitely much more spread out globally.
Yeah, but Sony also has not accessed their home Japanese market. You have not seen them achieve their final form.
That's going to go nuts there.
Yeah, they're going to have robust sales in Japan. You heard it here first. I'm calling it right now. So the PS4 will sell well in Japan.
If they got any kids left by the time it comes out, they're having a little, generational problem there.
They're having some baby problems. Let's not be a downer about it. Here, let me read this thing here. I want to remind everyone that this episode of The Patch is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Stop schlepping to the drugstore and paying $20 for shave tech you don't need. For a couple bucks a month, DollarShaveClub.com delivers amazing quality razors right to your door. Shave time, shave money with Dollar Shave Club. We love them. You will too. Go to DollarShaveClub.com/rooster. That's DollarShaveClub.com/rooster. So they got 3 different blades you can choose from. They've all got what you need from a razor: lubricating strip, stainless steel blades, and you get a free handle, of course. And you can change your plan, upgrade, downgrade to a different blade anytime you want. And they've also got some other great stuff like shave butter, which you can use in place of shaving cream. And you can cancel at any time. So go to DollarShaveClub.com/rooster. Whenever I have to shave, I love using their shave butter and their razors.
Now,
I have to trim all the time. Because otherwise, I've got like a mess all up in here.
It's like Teen Wolf.
Yeah, this connects to here, believe it or not. If I don't cut that out, like all of this is a mess. It's like I've got to keep it in check. So thank you for making me not look disgusting. More disgusting. So we were talking about Steam boxes, and one of the things I wanted to mention in correlation with the Steam boxes was the Project Christine thing that Razer talked about, which was basically like a modular chassis that you can put components into as you need them, and it's all liquid cooled.
And it's not a pretty thing. It sounds
cool. No, it's not pretty, but it's not meant to be. That's like...
It looks like science fiction.
It looks like a love letter to ultimate PC gaming.
Is it, though?
I feel like I'm on a spaceship if I have that. It's like, we need more CUDA cores. Let's put some more in there.
But in what way is it being sci-fi a bad thing? That's like
I like it. I'm not criticizing. I love it. I think it looks great.
It looks like a Lacey storage device is what it looks like, honestly.
Does, yeah.
I mean, the fact that they're all independently cooled is kind of an interesting feature. Talk about out-of-the-box factory overclocking type things. But I don't know. We'll see. It depends on what the modules are. That's really where the interesting part of this is going to be. Can I dock a second CPU and make kind of a server setup? I mean,
I would imagine. I mean, what do you need? Computer. You need like a CPU, a GPU, disk space, RAM.
Hard drive, yeah. What do you say?
You
counted it.
Get some sound card.
Yeah, that's all integrated.
Are those
now?
just integrated on the
Believe it or not, Sound Blaster still a company, or Creative Labs actually still sells Sound Blasters to somebody. I don't know who.
Make headphones now, right?
Do they still make headphones?
I think they do. Yeah.
There's still I just remember the Live. I think Sound Blaster Live. I think still around.
I think that's the last sound card I bought was a Sound Blaster Live Gold. Like back in
I think that's what I had too.
99 maybe?
Man, it has been a long time since I've built a computer and needed to buy a sound card.
Yeah.
I just assume that there's an extreme audiophiles out there that really are the ones that's targeted
Do you think that we'll start to see that kind of shift with video cards as well
Mm-hmm.
between streaming video games like PlayStation Now and also between onboard graphics becoming so good? The new Haswell architecture that Intel has that Intel Iris Pro integrated graphics, which isn't as good as a discrete graphics card, but give them another 5-10 years, will it be so good that you don't need a discrete graphics card? And we're gonna all be having that discussion like, remember when we used to buy NVIDIA? Or we, do you think that's gonna suffer the same fate?
I don't know. I think that kind of technology is gonna rely much more on networks to get much, much better. They were saying for PlayStation Now that to have a good, reliable connection, they recommend you have at least a 5 megabit per second connection, and it relies more on latency than actual bandwidth as well. So if you could have a super fast connection, but if you're somewhere like Australia that traditionally has really high latency for servers, then it might not work that well because every input that you make will be super delayed.
Yeah, input lag is going to be the thing that kills it way more than necessarily quality. Quality, they can always step it down a little bit, but the actual latency between you and the server.
Yeah, so I feel like that streaming, like that sort of streaming service, is going to drive demand for better networks more so than shutting off technology.
Okay. Yeah, we need better internet. Is the moral of the story.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't think Intel's really fighting too hard to take over dominance in the 3D graphics card industry. I think they're making good solutions for run-of-the-mill onboard stuff, but they're not really trying to kick NVIDIA or ATI out.
I think
AMD,
that they're making more of a play in the mobile space. Like when it comes to like laptops, that's where you definitely see that a lot more. And with the advent of mobile devices like this fucking thing, they're trying to catch up here. They got left behind with this type of technology. So I think between these types of devices and, having to do something for laptops, I could see them as an answer, like almost like by accident, being like, oh, yeah, we put you out of business. Sorry.
Whoops.
Yeah.
My bad.
Didn't mean to do
It's
that.
like when the giant steps on you and doesn't even know. It's like smash.
Oh, it's real slippery. Yeah, sorry.
Gross. So over the break, over the holidays, I don't remember I think it was my brother-in-law recommended to me that I play this game on Steam called Papers, Please. And I've been fucking obsessed with it.
I saw you tweeting about it.
So basically the premise of the game is you are a passport control agent there's the game. You're a passport control agent at a border for like an Eastern Bloc country during the Cold War. And people come and you have to inspect their documents, determine if they're valid or not, and then either let them into the country or deny them entrance, and you can detain them. So there's like a rule book, and you have to like, this is a mod or something.
There's like the Team Fortress.
Yeah, this is a mod. That's not actually what it
Don't
looks
let the pyro in.
But I can play it forever.
No, I haven't played it myself, but I hear that it brings out your dark side.
Yes, I thought, this will be fun. No, like you start to like, I don't know, you go to a weird place. It makes me think of like that prisoners and guards psychology experiment where it's like they lock people up and they tell some you're a guard, some you're a prisoner.
I mean, is there incentive to deny people, or do you just feel like it?
Well, you can deny them if you feel like it, but you definitely need to deny some people if they have expired paperwork or forged paperwork or they don't have all their paperwork in order. Because if you let them in, then you get fined if you let them into the country illegally or improperly.
So it's a game for people who love paperwork.
Yes, and rules, and following the rules.
It's bureaucracy, the game.
It's funny, you can joke about it, but it's actually one of the... It's nominated for in the Independent Games Festival. It's nominated for a ton of awards. It's really, really good.
Well, what category does that go into?
Actually, I have a list here.
Puzzle?
It's the best of the bureaucracy simulators there is available on the market right now.
It's competing against Euro Truck Simulator and Lumberjack Simulator.
Those are man. I tried Woodcut Simulator. Actually, that's a thing.
It's nominated in. God damn it! Slow loading. We need better internet. Papers, Please. Excellence in narrative.
So there's a story?
Does it have a narrative?
Yeah, there's also a story. So you work every day, and then you get money, you get paid, and you have to take care of your family. So you have to like
so it's like the
pay
Sims.
rent, food, but you don't manage it. Like the family stuff is just a screen. It's just like a
Like
budget screen,
budgeting?
basically. Like, do you have money for food? Do you have money for heat? Your apartment, that kind of thing.
See, it's weird. I can tell that you find this game super compelling, but every time you try to explain it, it just sounds like the worst idea ever.
That's so good.
I'm sorry, I have to do a budget. I don't do a budget for my actual life.
You will for your virtual family in the Cold War in the Eastern Bloc.
Exactly. That's
So
I don't know. That's
excellence
a
in
little bit
narrative,
deep.
excellence in design, Nuovo Award. I guess that's like overall excellence.
Sure.
Excellence in excellence. Highly recommend it. So I picked up on the Steam store for like $6, I think, and I've played it for hours and hours. Cannot say enough good things about that game.
Is it one of those games where you just don't have to use a lot of your brain?
No, you definitely have to use a lot of your brain. Yeah, like
You gotta check all those documents.
if someone tries to talk to me, or it's like no, like I've got to be like super focused on.
Stop it! This one might be a terrorist. I got to make sure he doesn't get in the country.
There are terrorists. You have to be careful. There's like a whole subplot with like this terrorist group trying to infiltrate the country, and you can either like choose to help them and let their agents in, or you like can expose them. There's a lot.
All right,
It's a lot.
I'll give it a try.
It's a very deep game. But yeah, like I said, it was nominated for a bunch of IGF awards. So quality.
Cool.
Wasn't Stanley Parable was also nominated for some IGF awards, I think.
Yeah.
Also in narrative, probably.
Narrative and visual design, I think, as well. I played Stanley Parable as well. I thought it was okay. It didn't grab me as much as I think it grabbed a lot of other people.
I only played a little bit of the new one, and only because Bernie insisted. But I remember it mostly from the old version, where it was just a Half-Life mod before it was standalone. And the core is essentially the same. That it seems almost more like it's a thesis on narrative game design.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
and it's like the fact that it's fun, that's really cool, but it does seem like a thesis of some sort. Like they're proving a point.
yeah, it's more like a school project or a university project as opposed to a game.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
Surgeon Simulator.
Which doesn't stop it from being a lot of fun, especially, contravening any instructions that you get. Like, that's the fun part.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely not a game in the traditional sense.
Yeah, man, I can't wait for them to have the multiplayer mod. Let's have a bunch of Stanleys running around, not following the goddamn yellow line. So I guess Apple announced that during 2013, they did more than $10 billion in sales on the App Store.
I thought they were saying it was something like 15, and the year before that was 7. So it more than doubled.
Oh, let me look up my source here.
Yes,
I read
please.
10 billion this past year and 15 the previous year. Yeah, I see, according to Joystick anyway, or Joystick, it's 10 billion sales last year.
Okay.
Wait. Help me take what sales. I see the 15
The
billion
specifics,
number.
man. Come on.
Let me read the paragraph.
Yes, please do.
The App Store made $10 billion in sales last year, with December alone providing over $1 billion and a record-breaking amount of app downloads. iOS users racked up almost 3 billion downloads last month, helping to take the App Store developers' earnings to date up to a whopping $15 billion.
Okay.
So that's developer earnings.
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So developer earnings, that means that they're...
Not including Apple's cut.
Right, yeah. So on top of that is more.
Well, that's lifetime. Developers have earned $15 billion. Not just that year.
I wonder what percentage the Apple Store takes. Do we know? Is that public?
I feel like I've read that before, and I think they take like 33%.
Wow.
Okay. Well, hey, why not? It's their platform, I guess.
Yeah, and I closed it, so I don't remember right now, but I think the most downloaded app last year was Candy Crush, and the highest
paid
grossing
one
app
was
there you go, is Minecraft Pocket Edition.
Yeah, the best paid app was Minecraft, but I think the top grossing one was still Candy Crush just based on microtransactions.
Ah, okay. I think the number I was looking at didn't count the in-game microtransactions.
So did they take a cut of the microtransactions as well?
Yes.
Okay. Wow, they're double dipping on
Look,
that.
I will say that if Valve's cut is anywhere near that, I can see why they're pushing Steam machines so hard. Because if they can expand it and get, a third of that many more game sales, of course they're going to do it.
I mean, judging from the price points for a lot of the games I see on Steam, I have not thought that it could be that much, just because they're still underpricing
everything
by about $10. The games on Steam are going to be cheaper than their equivalents on either of the consoles. So if the Steam side cut was anything comparable to what Microsoft or Sony take, then I would think your games would all be about the same price.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. It's just speculation. I don't know.
So I see here on Twitter that someone, Befuddled Eagle, is asking if I enjoyed Stanley Parable more than I enjoyed Dear Esther, which is another game I had played also on Steam. I enjoyed Stanley Parable a lot more than Dear Esther. Dear Esther...
Oh, a big suck at Dear Esther from Gus.
Did you ever play Dear Esther?
I haven't, no.
It's slow. It's like...
Wasn't it also a little bit fucked up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think my big complaint was that there was no way to run. It was like you had to walk everywhere, and it was like, but that's the point of the game. It's kind of like a slow exploration thing, very methodical. Yeah,
strolling.
It's like, I wish there was a mod support for this so I could run. It makes me think of like Doom when you couldn't hold your gun and your flashlight at the same time, and it takes the mod community to fix that problem.
Yeah.
There's no one in any game ever just walks anywhere. It doesn't matter. You're always hightailing it.
Why
somewhere.
do they even bother having that, I wonder? I mean, I understand. Here's the thing that does always bother me about walking. A lot of these games include walking. Or, I mean, specifically, I play a lot of the PC games. And anytime you have an NPC, you have to follow your walk speed, which you have for no other reason than I can figure is to follow NPCs, is different from theirs.
Yeah.
That is weird to me that your speed never seems to be the same as NPC speed.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to make sure you don't lose the NPC. Like, if the
You
NPC
catch up.
gets far enough away from you, then
Run.
you can't catch up.
Then you could just run. Just run. You've got the run button. He doesn't.
What if in like a game like World of Warcraft where there is no run button, you just have a set walk speed? You lose him. And it's like you will always be that far apart.
All right. I mean, I can see that maybe. Well, why don't they just put a little rubber band on it?
You're right. As they get further away, they should
Yeah.
walk slower. Then as you get closer,
Yeah.
they should get up to your speed.
Don't make me sit there and run circles around the guy
Yeah.
just to get where we're going.
You're right. That's a really good idea. Thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome, game developers.
Game developers, yeah, Ryan and I will take a cut of that technology. We just patented
33%.
33% of your rubber band NPC technology.
Shay182 on Twitter is actually saying that according to Runic Games, Steam takes about 25% per sale.
That's still a pretty good cut. I mean, you get it out to a lot of people, though.
Yeah.
Steam's at what? I love that quote from Gabe Newell the other day where they asked him, how he was feeling about the 3 million sales of Xbox One. And he said, "Nah, I'm not that worried about it because our user base is 65 million, so they have a ways to go before they catch up."
Well, what I love about them,
I did love that bit of sass.
what I love about them taking 25% of a cut from sales is that before they take 25%, they cut 75% of the price off.
That's true.
It's like they discount everything, and they're like, "You're going to lose all that money, and then we're going to take a quarter of it."
And
But
yet-
it's amazing how many more sales they can generate. Like that one developer, I can't remember who they are off the top of my head, but they were saying that they made their year-to-date sales on on a game again in 8 hours during like the Steam Flash sale.
Because people will buy it even if they don't want it at certain points because it's just so cheap that it's how do you not buy it?
I bought 3D Mark on the Steam sale like that. It was like $249. I was like, fine, why not?
Yeah, if the developers thought they weren't getting a good deal out of it, they'd pull their stuff. So it must be good money on both ends to be had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great ecosystem. I find myself using it a lot. And thank God the fucking sale is over. That winter sale, I was obsessed with snow globes.
Oh, were you? How many did you collect?
I don't even remember. I don't know, man. I got snow globes
lost
everywhere.
yourself in the snow
Wait, what do you
globes.
mean you collect snow globes during the sale?
It's like the metagame they have. It's like as you buy stuff and as you vote on sales, you get snow globe cards, like a virtual item. And you combine 10 of them to then get a special in-game item. And then you can trade the snow globes with other players. So
or sell them.
So if you're missing some snow globes, you'd be like, "Hey, you got a number 8? I got a number 6. You want to trade?" And it's like you can swap
It's like
them.
a black market.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, there's a whole virtual non-good marketplace that exists there, and you can see what the going rate for that card is. Like, oh, it's up to 20 cents.
Yeah.
I should sell.
Ooh, I got a foil. Yes.
It's like the new Bitcoin, really.
But yeah, so snow globes, man. Gilby and I were talking about them nonstop throughout the sale. But yeah, thank God it's over. So I guess there was a rumor the other day. What is today? The 8th. There was a rumor yesterday out of Ubisoft saying that development on The Division really hasn't started yet.
Yeah.
That, in fact, they're not really even done with the engine.
Well, I thought it said the engine was pretty there.
What they said was the engine's mostly done.
Right.
Which you really can't get full steam on your development until the engine's done.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit weird to me too, in that they were saying that what's the new Tom Clancy one?
The Division?
What was the other one then? The one that they just delayed? Not Watch Dogs, but they just delayed another
they
one.
did,
they scrapped it. It was the Rainbow Six. There was Rainbow Six Patriots.
Yeah.
They said we're gonna scrap it. We're gonna start all the way over because we just didn't like how it was going. Mm-hmm. They've got a lot of games that are apparent, like the Tom Clancy one specifically, that are apparently back to square one.
I actually applaud Ubisoft for doing that. I think in this world, it's easy to put out a shitty game because you're afraid of shareholder reaction. If internally they're not happy with the product, I am glad to see them scrap it or not be afraid to delay it. Same thing with Watch Dogs. Push it, make sure you put out a polished, finished product people will enjoy, even if it means, pain in the short term.
Yeah, take responsibility for your product.
Mm-hmm.
Make something that's good and that people aren't going to come back and go, why did I spend money on that? And then that opens up your sequel market. And then you make the sequels good, too.
Right.
Well, I mean, it does affect the stock a little bit. And like Ubisoft's did drop when they announced the delay of Watch Dogs. But that's also a temporary drop. And at least they're not having the kinds of problems the EA is having right now.
Right. And that's exactly what's making me think of Battlefield 4. You put out something that people have problems with. And not only does your stock suffer, but then lawsuits start happening, and it's just
the
bad.
pitchforks and litigation are right there under the surface these days. People are ready to come for you if you mess something up, big enough. Mm-hmm. Especially now that these big developers have gotten so big, they're really kind of becoming juicy targets in an industry that is kind of flush with cash at the moment.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like I said, I think it's brave. It's definitely not the easy decision, and I'm glad to see that they're willing to take their time and do it right. So thank you.
I agree. Yes,
for taking your time and making good games.
We applaud you here at the Patch.
Yeah, I really, really want to play The Division. I think it's the thing I was most excited about out of this past E3. So I want to make sure it's fun when I finally get to play it.
Well, I'm curious. I mean, from what they showed at E3,
and it's just a rumor. I mean, we
don't know that.
Yeah, we don't know for a
Could
fact.
just be one really angry employee that's like, I'm gonna mess up their stuff. But I mean, from what they showed at E3, that looked like kind of sort of it's a pseudo MMO type game, right?
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily need a lot of single-player story scripting type stuff. It could be something kind of more quest-based, which may not take as much development time as a single-player experience.
Like, you think they have, like, a big book of quests written? They're like, we just can't wait to program these. I mean, you still have to work on all of that. But I think, if anything, that's probably even more work.
You think so?
Because when you have a single-player experience, you're almost, like, locking it off and being like, look at the game like this, like this, like this. When you open it up to, like, an MMO, it's like, okay, go out there and do stuff. Look at it from every angle.
But there's so much more narrative to a single-player experience, generally speaking, than MMO. MMO, in most cases, and you know there are exceptions, like Star Wars really had much more narrative experience for multiplayer, and maybe they'll go that route. But in most cases, it's, hey, I need 5 of these, go get one, and it's a text block, and no one even talks. It just, you read it, and then you go do it, and you bring them back. So
I will say that one of the problems that I have with MMOs in general is that difference in, I guess, the narrative and also your place in the narrative. Like in Skyrim, this is a good example since we've got Elder Scrolls Online coming up. In Skyrim, you're the big hero. You are destined. You are fated to be awesome. You are the Dragonborn. And then you're gonna have Elder Scrolls Online, where, frankly, you're just another schmuck.
The dragon spawn.
Like you are no more special than anyone else. And
Ted.
That makes me sad.
You're more special than NPCs. Come on, let's be honest.
Well, not necessarily. Some of those NPCs are pretty cool.
Until they took an arrow in the knee. Do you think they're going to do arrow in the knee callouts in Elder Scrolls Online?
I hope not.
I hope they know that that's kind of past. I mean, that one's jumped the shark.
Oh, immediately.
That wasn't a thing, was it? I mean, they just had some generic audio that just happened to be noticed that it was spread throughout the game. I mean, it wasn't even the same guy. It was like 6 different people that recorded the same line.
Right.
Yeah, there was that, and there was, what was the other one? It was the guard who's like, oh, did someone steal your sweet roll?
Oh, man. I got to go back and play that again. I was not a big Skyrim fan. For some reason, Elder Scrolls games don't grab me very much.
Well, you don't like those sandbox open world type things.
No,
generally.
Typically no. So I got to try it again. I think I bought it on a fucking Steam sale. I think it's on my goddamn computer.
Did you play Morrowind? You know the mod that someone is working on. It's weird. It's Skywind. So it's a Skyrim mod where they are basically bringing Morrowind into like the Skyrim engine to make it look amazing and new and fantastic. But there's a catch, and that's that you have to own Morrowind. And you have to own the Blood Moon and Tribunal expansions for Morrowind just to be able to run the mod for Skyrim.
I guess, does it take all the textures or?
No. I don't think so, because they're redoing all the textures. Like that's part of what they're redoing, but it's obviously calling on something.
Maybe the geography,
in those games.
Like it might take like the wireframe geography, and then they're putting new textures over it.
Could be.
Like they didn't want to recreate the terrain.
Or I wonder if there's some kind of licensing issue that they're.
It could also be that, in that if they make a free Morrowind mod for Skyrim, then that is essentially cutting off any legacy sales of Morrowind.
Right. That's true. Actually, that's probably a really good point.
But on the other hand, I have no idea where my copy of Morrowind is. I really don't want to buy another copy of Morrowind just to play the mod.
You'll never lose it.
Probably for $2.
Yeah.
But
that's true. Its price probably has dropped considerably. Yeah, I'm like you. I don't know where my discs for that are at this point.
I know I have Morrowind. I'm trying to think where it is. Yeah, it's somewhere.
Somewhere. Yeah, that's discs. That's all my discs now, is there somewhere. I had the worst physical media problem is, so I started playing Kingdoms of Amalur again. I played it when it first came out in February of 2012. And I played it for a couple months, and then I got towards the end and I stopped, because I do this with a lot of games because I don't want it to be over. Because, like, if I know that there's still something left to do, then I can still kind of be excited about it. And once it's done, like, that's it. It's done. And so I stopped playing it. I've just gone back and started playing it again. And, we've got, so there's Brittany and there's me and the boys. And so we've only got so many Xboxes in the house. So we're always having to, like, move around depending on who's using what TV. I keep having to move my disc. I have to go and I have to get it from the upstairs and I have to take it to the downstairs and I have to put it in the downstairs Xbox. And it's like, that's the most ridiculous thing to complain about, I know. But I was just like, I really wish I just had this digitally right now. I just wish that would be great.
That'd be sweet. I used to, I think when the 360 first came out, one of the early podcasts, I joked that I wanted a 5-disc changer in my 360. Then I could just put like all the games that are currently in the rotation in there, that I would have to get up and fucking change the disc. But Bernie made fun of me for being lazy. Here, let me read this thing here. I want to remind everyone that this episode of The Patch is brought to you by Insert Coin Clothing, home of epic gaming apparel for men and women. Right now, save up to 70% off during their January sale. This includes popular designs from their Splinter Cell, Remember Me, Street Fighter, Assassin's Creed, and Sega ranges. Insert Coin Clothing has new designs coming in the next few weeks, including Dead or Alive, Classic Resident Evil, Little Big Planet, Watch Dogs, and Worms. They deliver worldwide, and right now you can save 15% on your purchase when you use offer code New Year's Rooster. Support The Patch and use offer code New Year's Rooster to save 15% at insertcoinclothing.com. So yeah, Ryan's wearing the Insert Coin Clothing shirt today.
Coincidentally, I didn't know that they were sponsoring this one.
I wore the long sleeve Last of Us Joel shirt during Monday's RT podcast. I love that shirt, man.
the subtle one.
Yeah,
right?
It's like when people see it, they're like, if they know, they know. They know
you
what's
have to
up.
get like a mental fist bump.
Yeah, like
it's all up here. Like you don't actually touch each other because
that would be weird.
That'd be weird.
Gross.
Yeah. Like shirt touch. That's gonna
It's like nice. So was there any video released when Turtle Rock announced that they're making that new game? Turtle Rock is the studio who made Left 4 Dead, and I guess they announced that they're working on a new game called Evolve. Evolve? Is that it? Yeah, Evolve.
Yep.
Was there any video or anything to go with that? Because all I saw was like a press release and like text descriptions of it.
I haven't seen anything yet, and I haven't seen like screenshots or anything.
there's
That
some
might
art.
they might be saving it honestly, because I know it's in the upcoming Game Informer, right? Like that's a future issue. So if Game Informer has the exclusive, I'd be surprised if they release anything to sort of preempt it.
Man, that's gotta be rough business for magazines these days. I mean, how many people you open one and you're like, man, I just want to hit play, but it's
Why can't I click on this?
How do I look up more
Let me
information?
go to the internet for more information. Look, I can get it all here.
So I
Sorry,
guess
Game Informer.
the only information that I have here is this: Evolve centers around a 4 versus 1 hunt mode in which 4 teammates score off against a 5th player who controls a powerful alien creature that grows stronger as matches progress. The cooperative competitive gameplay. Okay, whatever.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, which sounds like a really fun idea.
I really like asymmetrical multiplayer.
Yes.
That's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just reading like that one sentence. I was like, I want to play that game.
Did you ever play Giants Citizen Kabuto?
No, I never played that.
So it was an older PC game, and it was unusual in that the multiplayer there were 3 factions. There were like these little mini alien dudes who had cool technology like jetpacks. There was after the patch, topless magic chicks that like floated around generally just had boobs out.
Ooh.
And then there was the giant Kabuto, and it was this enormous, huge dude that would just like pick up cows and eat them, and just wreak, like all he does is wreak havoc. But that was fun because like depending on what you wanted, you could be like any of these factions, and they all work completely differently. I loved it.
Interesting. No, I never. I
sidelined
remember
by
that game,
the
but I never
flying
played it.
Boob women.
Oh yeah, so it was a funny thing when the game first came out. They actually had to put a bikini top on
I would imagine,
the chicks,
yeah.
And they turned all of the blood green, so it was more like alien goo.
Oh yeah, it's not violent at all.
Aliens.
Yeah,
And then-
it's fine. Aliens kill them. Yeah, sure.
Whatever.
And then right after the game came out, they released a patch to like make her topless again and turn the blood back to red because it was something they'd done to get through ratings.
Of
And so then they
course.
just like as soon as you bought it, you could just patch that back.
Nice.
That's the way to go.
It was very sneaky.
So someone tweeted, who is it? RTAHMXLA. It seems that Ryan didn't know about the arrow in the knee meme. It was even in an LMFAO music video.
Oh, it seems like I didn't know, did it?
You did an arrow in the knee video.
I did, yeah. Go take a look at legacy videos on roosterteeth.com. There's a very wonderful Kill the Meme video. Look it up.
Yep.
I think that it actually be the first video I just made
I think it was
spontaneously.
Yeah, I remember that. God, that was so long ago. One of the other games I guess I recently got announced was Alien Isolation. I don't know if either of you saw anything about that, but it looks like that's going to be a really fun game. I feel like a lot of times, especially with like Alien Colonial Marines, that franchise has not fared well in the video game space. But this looks like this is something that could be really fun. It's not like a survival horror or a survival horror style game set in the Alien universe.
Yeah, well, and they were saying that that it does draw really deeply from the 1979 film, like from the original, and that like even watching the video that's available, you can get a lot of that sense that it's supposed to be much more intimate. It's supposed to be that between you and like this single alien, and confronting it and not being able to kill it or that sort of thing, where it's not. Well, it's not colonial marines for one, but it's just it's a bit more true to the spirit of the original movie. So that all sounds really promising.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Does it? I mean, that looks really interesting to me. I'm really excited for it. But my question is, where's the gameplay there? So you only have one enemy, at least from what they've kind of talked about so far. It's just that one alien, and it's really cool to say that it's just an environmental horror kind of thing. But what are you doing in the game? Like, imagine you played Dead Space and never shot anybody.
I don't know that. I mean, the alien. I would assume that the alien's going to be a recurring threat to you. Like, you may not be able to kill it, but it's probably going to do its damnedest to take you out. I mean, look at the original movie. There was one alien, but at no point did you think they were out of danger.
True. Yeah, I mean, it's a constant threat, and that's good, but again, what's your gameplay mechanic?
Yeah, and also, I mean, that can suffice for like an hour and a half or a 2 hour, narrative, that's being told to you, as opposed to like a 10-hour game where you're wandering around.
I mean, is it like a puzzle game where you're looking for key cards?
Well, they said, one of the things they said is it does involve first-person shooting, but they also have a crafting system where you create things that help you evade the alien or defend against it or cause distractions. At the same time, you'll find the odd small firearm around the place. It's a large city-sized space station, so there's going to be that sort of thing around.
I guess you'll fight it off, maybe. So you still fight it, but if there's only one, which it seems to be the way they're building this experience, is you're not going to do a lot of fighting.
Maybe it's almost like, it's a bad phrase, but it's almost like a tower defense where you're like, the alien's going to come and attack you, so make sure you're prepared and you have some stuff ready to fight it off, and you keep trying to work your way around, maybe solve a mystery.
I'm sure that's going to be the maybe it'll be more like a book almost, like a narrative story of exploration and terror, which would be cool. I mean, those interactive mediums are really interesting. Look at Walking Dead or the werewolf one. But we'll see. I mean, I'm curious what the mechanic is, what the hook, other than just we got an alien.
Alien, come on.
Yeah, it works so well for Colonial Marines.
What I also read was that they're pretty much done with the game. They have a build you can play from beginning to end, and they're just going to work on polish. It's supposed to come out late this year, so they're just going to polish it and make it fun.
I have to say that I appreciate that. It's really hard to have a game announced a year and a half, 2 years before it comes out, and then just be excited and waiting that long until it feels like it's never going to come out. Just saying, hey, we're announcing a game. By the way, it's almost finished and it'll be out in, a couple of months. That's so much easier. So much easier.
It seems like it's hard to sit on that kind of information for a long time these days, too. I mean, it just gets out there.
Well, you got to build that hype, It's like the marketing. Like, we got to have so much lead time. That way we can market it and people know, educate them.
I mean, it's been rumored since 2011. Like,
has it? Okay.
People have sort of had an idea that they're working on something. I want to say it was in May 2011 they were putting out, like, job listings for a new, like, Alien game for this developer. So it was sort of known if you were following it really, really closely. Like, it wasn't 100% secret, like whatever Rocksteady's doing at the moment, which is, like, no one has any idea.
Man, you are correct. May 2011. Look at you. Fucking on the spot over there.
Done my research.
I was doing some fucking fact-checking on the fly. Very good.
Captain Calendar over here.
But so it hasn't been 100% secret, just not announced.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, a lot of those times, with a game that has name recognition like Alien, so if it gets even a rumor out there, all of a sudden everybody's talking about it. So I'd heard nothing about it until this happened.
Maybe they did in 2011.
Maybe so.
Or you might also have heard something about it, and then in your head got it mashed up with like Colonial Marines or another game.
That's a good point. With Colonial Marines launching
that happened to me with XCOM, the Bureau. Like, I knew they were the Enemy Within came out, and I was like, wasn't this the Bureau? Like, I was confused because like two different XCOM games.
Yeah, that one was a little bit weird.
Yeah, so I could definitely see that happening. I guess another bit of news that came out this week is China has temporarily lifted their ban on game consoles.
Sorta.
So the trick was they've lifted their ban on foreign game consoles if the consoles are manufactured in Shanghai
in the free trade zone,
and then imported in
the
China.
other trick to that was there was no ban. They'd already lifted it in September.
Really?
Well, yeah. I think they'd announced that they were planning on doing something. It's just that as of yesterday or today, the ban is actually lifted. But I think the console manufacturers still have to get approval from the Ministry of Culture before they can do anything. And even then, they can sell it in the the free trade region of Shanghai, and from there it can filter into the rest of the country.
Right.
But it's not just like go crazy.
It's not the one. They're not.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, they talk about that, how all games will have to go through the Ministry of Culture. Do we have any different kind of an experience, say, with Australia? I mean, how many times has Australia bounced a game for certain content? I mean, everything gets approved by somebody.
I don't know that they're talking about the game specifically, but the game consoles.
The consoles,
the devices themselves will have to be approved.
Right, the console has to get in one time, but then every subsequent game also has to.
Well, you think about it, it's like the ESRB.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like a ratings council essentially.
Though, I mean, in the U.S., if the ESRB gives it a bad rating, well, I guess it has to be rated by the ESRB before it can be sold, right?
At retail, I believe.
At retail.
I don't know about digital distribution. It might not need that for digital.
Yeah, here I think you might be able to get it out there without having that sign off. Unlike
I think a lot
some
of mobile games actually bypass that way because they're not sold in stores, so they get by without getting ratings.
I think a lot of times, since the ESRB is an industry-run organization, the industry wants to have their games rated by the ESRB because ultimately they're afraid of the government taking over and doing the ratings. So I mean, they would rather keep it themselves.
And the ESRB is actually much more strict in their enforcement than like the MPAA or like anything like that.
They're also a lot more transparent.
Yes, as far as like self-regulating industries, the ESRB is pretty top notch.
Yeah, that's
great. But they do have reason to because I get it. I wouldn't want the government stepping in and saying what you can and can't do.
Right. We've talked about this before, but like the MPAA will not even give you you give them your movie, they give you a rating, and they don't tell you why. Like that's it.
It's just a black box system.
Right.
You feed it in, and the result comes out.
Yeah. If you don't like the rating, you don't know what to change. Like you can submit a new cut, but you don't know if you address what
Did
they
we
didn't
not
like
kill enough
about
people? Let's kill some more people. Maybe there's a little bit more blood. More blood? No.
Less blood?
So when China announced that they did suspend the console ban, Nintendo stock in Japan jumped over 10%.
Yeah, it's 10.7, and Sony's went up too. But I thought it was weird that Sony's went up like 1.4%, and Nintendo's went up 10%.
And Nintendo's already there.
In China?
In China?
Yeah, they sold under IQ brand, I believe.
Oh, they had that weird GameCube thing, the Panasonic thing.
Is that what it was?
Right? Yeah.
I just read somewhere, I believe it was part of a joystick article, that they're already part of that market. Now, just like anything else, I mean, for things to get into China, China has to, I think they require you to actually manufacture domestically. Like you have to move manufacturing there.
Everyone already makes that stuff in China anyway.
That's true in a lot of cases. But so and then it usually has to be under a different brand. So I think Nintendo's been there already.
I think Microsoft did that as well with some Xbox stuff. Like they branded it under another company.
I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, even
Whoa.
I caught it. Even World of Warcraft was under a different company, right? When it was distributed there. I mean, anything that goes in seems to go through a third party.
Right. Now, I find it really strange. So China, they banned game consoles in 2000, basically on the grounds that they were destructive and harmful to children and adolescents. And everyone went, okay, it's fine. We'll just go play on PC.
No, actually, you can still buy any of the consoles very easily on the gray market.
They can import them and everything, but they were saying it was like $13 or $15 billion that the Chinese game industry did last year. Out of the billions and billions and billions, 15 million was from console games.
Ooh.
It's super heavy PC. So everyone kept playing games. They just moved to PC, which in the end would theoretically defeat the purpose of why the consoles were banned in the first place.
Well, I guess you could argue, I don't know how many of those PC games that they were playing are stuff that are imports, though. It could be that it's a lot more of domestically produced games.
And I think there is quite a lot of that. You get a lot of games that only exist there at the moment. But, I mean, if video games as a whole are what's harmful and, for the kids.
Well, China's always been very xenophobic about culture coming in. Like, they seem to be a little bit nervous about that whole free market idea getting too loose in the country. And anything that kind of movies, video games, anything that lets you experience a life different from what you get there sometimes can be kind of shut out of the country.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like we said, I'm sure they're going to keep a very tight regulation on what games go in and out, or what games are allowed into the country.
Like no Battlefield.
No Battlefield.
Well, here's a key, a good idea. If you want to sell it in China, don't create a DLC against China.
Don't create a DLC where China's the bad guy. So in another news I read this week, I read that 1 million people have purchased the Starbound early access so far, which is a lot of people.
It is.
And it was 1 million for Starbound, and I want to say they passed like 880,000 for DayZ.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I played some Starbound. I want to go back and try to start it over because it really didn't grab me the first time I played it because I didn't really understand what I was doing. But now that I've learned more about the game, I think I'm going to give it another shot.
Well, good, then you can show me because I have no idea how to get started in it.
Yeah, it's a game that definitely suffers from early access. There's no like, this is what to do, this is how you do it. It's like click. What am I doing? You spend a lot of time clicking. But DayZ, yeah, over 800,000. That's great. They've got a huge cash influx. Now they can finish the game.
Yeah, and I think they're still not planning to go into beta till towards the end of the year.
Yeah, they said they might launch by the end of the year, by the end of 2014.
Man, he's not in a hurry.
No hurry. Might take another vacation, go climb Everest again. Did you see that video that came out the other day of the bandits in DayZ who kidnap a couple of guys and try to make them fight each other?
What?
This group of bandits with guns come across this group of 3 survivors, and they've all got like axes. And 2 of the survivors have yellow jackets. So they make the guys put all their axes down, and they make the guys in yellow jackets sit across from each other. And they tell them, all right, get up and fight each other. One of them doesn't want to fight, so he starts trying to run away, so they kill him. And they're like, all right, he's dead. You're yellow jacket guy now. So you're the only guy who can have a yellow jacket. You can't have 2 people in your group with yellow jackets.
Oh my God.
It's really, really weird.
That's weird.
And they're like, congratulations, you win. What do you want? You can have a bag of rice, bandages, or something else. And the guy's like, I'll take the bag of rice. He's all right, here you go, a bag of rice. Good choice. It's super bizarre.
It's really a Mad Max world on those servers. It seems like it. People band together, and I'm sure Adam is actually one of them. I think he used to do that a lot back in the day.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's moved over to the new platform.
Yeah, one of the most interesting things about DayZ is exactly those kinds of things. Just the weird stories. Like everyone who's played has a DayZ story about like what crazy way they died or how they did this thing and there was an invisible helicopter or just crazy stuff. And everyone has a story. Everyone.
It does seem like he's added a lot of interesting things that lend more towards that human interaction part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can handcuff people, they can put up their hands, you can hold them hostage, things like that. And that seems to be where the main story of DayZ is. The zombies are just kind of an ancillary thing that's a constant threat. Yeah.
One of my favorite videos that came out of that when the DayZ Alpha first came out is like this guy standing outside of a town. He sees another survivor walking towards him, and he puts up his hand to like high five this guy walking at him. The guy walking at him comes up to him, looks at him, and just goes... and then flips him off, walks around him, and keeps going down the road. And the guy's just standing there with his hand still up, like.
Well, it's better than getting shot, which is what generally happens.
Better than getting shot.
Or an axe to the face.
Yeah. Or an arrow to the knee.
That's how they say hi. Oh, God, those arrows to the knee.
Bringing it back. Look at you guys.
Fucking reclaiming it. One of my other favorite games from last year was FTL. And I guess they have a new version coming out soon called, I think it's Advanced Edition.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
FTL Advanced Edition, which can add a new alien race, as well as like a new subsystem on ships and a new drone type. So I'm super excited.
And a new space sector.
I might finally finish the game.
Is that going to go to all platforms? Or is it just going to be on certain platforms?
So it's going to be, it's PC. And then they're also going to be releasing an iPad version.
Yep.
Is the iPad version out already?
No, I think the iPad version is coming with Advanced Edition.
Yeah, I think the mobile version will be Advanced Edition. And when they release that, they're going to update the PC version to be Advanced Edition.
Yeah, and the PC version is just going to be, that's just going to be free.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like if you already had FTL, it's basically a patch. And
oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
You get
upgraded.
Yeah, you get upgraded to this new version.
Which is great. Who does that now?
Yeah.
Free expansion?
Free DLC?
That's weird.
Yeah, like it's almost like a .5 version of the game. It's like a serious overhaul. It's not a whole new... It's not like a 2.0, but significant changes.
Yeah, and the story is actually it's got a new story as well.
Really?
And it's actually being co-written by Chris Avallone, who worked on Fallout New Vegas. He's from Obsidian, but he also worked on one of the Neverwinter games. I can't remember which one off the top of my head, but he's supposed to be like legendary in like RPG circles.
So I'm glad you actually mentioned Fallout New Vegas because I saw that Fallout and Fallout 2 are again available on Steam
Okay,
Oh,
so
they're
they have re-released them. I know
Right.
they were intending to, but I hadn't
They
seen
said
that
they were
actually
working
had.
hard to re-release it as quickly as possible. That's the last story I saw. So I was like, I'm going to go look on Steam right now and see if it's there. It was there.
Good to know they're back.
Yeah, so it's back.
I actually got those on GOG like for free about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
They were just
Yeah.
giving them away.
Well,
because
it's a funny thing. It's super sneaky. Is that so? Bethesda got the rights to Fallout in 2007, but Interplay, who owned it beforehand, they kept the rights to sell the old games, and also they had the
MMO rights.
Yeah, and the MMO rights. And then last 2012 now, it's 2 years ago, Bethesda sued them. Or, they put a lawsuit basically trying to take all that back, saying that Interplay had failed to meet the license agreements, rendering it all void. So, Interplay had to stop selling the old Fallout games as of the end of 2013. So that's why they took them off the store. But right before they took them off the store, they said, here, everybody have it for free.
Yeah, that was
like
a big
cheeky.
fuck you. It's like, you're going to get it
Super,
back,
super
but you're not going to
cheeky.
sell a goddamn copy.
It's pretty funny. It's
$2 no one else is going to make.
Yeah, it's kind of spiteful. But it's back. If you never played the original Fallout games and you didn't get it for free 2 weeks ago, you can get it on Steam again. Great games. Fantastic. Totally different from Fallout 3.
super different.
Not FPS at all. There were games that were released 16 and 17 years ago now, so totally different. But still fun, I think. I haven't played it in a few years. So we're almost at time. You see, we're wrapping up here. We talked about Oculus Rift a little earlier. One of the other things I read this week is that John Carmack is at work doing first-party Oculus Rift software stuff.
Which is not that surprising since he did leave id, and it is id, not ID. Come on. Specifically to work on Oculus Rift. It makes sense that he, as their CTO,
yes.
he would be working on technology and games to push it.
What's interesting to me is that he's actually working and developing stuff instead of overseeing architecture. You think once you get to that executive level, you oversee and implement strategies as opposed to getting your hands dirty.
Hey,
and
you got John
doing the
Carmack.
work.
What do you do with him?
You know what though? It depends on the person. If he likes wading in and just working on stuff and getting his hands on stuff, then I think it's fantastic that he can do that. I mean, he's an industry legend.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
and not everyone wants to, grow up and become a manager who never does anything themselves.
What my big fear is, and I have tons of respect for John Carmack, he's great. My big fear is that he's going to try to do it all himself, and he's not going to foster a group that can do it independently. I don't want them to be, I think Oculus Rift is shit. I hate it, but I want them to succeed. I don't wish them ill, but I want him to make sure to create a
they're
department.
terrible. I hope they all die, but I don't wish them ill.
He needs to create an infrastructure that can do all the work, because if the company's going to scale and grow, he cannot do it all by himself.
That is true.
And you need to have a legacy that can live beyond you. All right, well, we're at time. We need to wrap things up here. So thanks for watching. We'll be back on Monday with another episode of RT Podcast, and next Wednesday with another episode of The Patch.
Hey.
Bye.